It is December 1995. The Soviet Union collapsed 4 years ago, and I am on a train in the sleeping compartment. And against the back wall is a pair of cross-country skis wrapped in cardboard and duct tape. The train is en route from Vilnius, Lithuania to Tallinn, Estonia. And now how this came to be is that I was working as a United States Customs Inspector, and 4 years ago, in '91, I got a job with the Office of International Affairs, which is only coincidental with the collapse of the Soviet Union. I had nothing to do with that. But because I was there at that time, my area of priority was to work with those new republics, the new countries that came up. I go overseas to do training for border control people. And I spent a lot of time in former Soviet Union and in Eastern Europe. And that is why I was in Vilnius, Lithuania, was doing that. Now, I have always aspired to be an overachiever, never quite made it, but always aspired for that. And this was the Office of International Affairs, so I had one. And then they found out that wasn't what they meant when they named the office. But, and in truth, it really wasn't an affair. It was a true romance. And by '95, I was engaged to this widow who lived in Estonia. And when I told her I would be in Lithuania and that afterwards I would take some vacation time and hop up to see her, she said, "My son is taking a course in cross-country skiing and has no skis. Can you bring him a pair of skis?" Now, she'd never asked for anything before. And so I was eager to prove my worth as genie, I think they call it in Russian. Anyway, so I got a pair of skis, and that's why I'm on the train, because having taken the skis through 2 airports to get there, I didn't want to fly again with those skis, so that put me on the train. Now, to help you picture where this is, I'll refer you to the map here, where the Baltic countries are these 3 little countries up here, right underneath the fingers of the Scandinavian countries, on the top of Europe, with Russia on this side and the Baltic Sea on that side. And there is Estonia at the top, Lithuania at the bottom, and Latvia in the middle. 375 miles from Vilnius to Tallinn. I'm on the train. We've been going now for about 20 minutes, and the train stops. I'm lying on the bunk here trying to read a book. And after several minutes of waiting around, I hear footsteps in the corridor, and then someone knocks on the door, and I get up. There are 3 Latvian customs agents at the door. And they say, "Passport, visa." And I say, "Sure." I give him my passport. And he looks through. "No visa." And I said, "No, ja Amerikanski. No visa for Lithuania, no visa for Estonia, and Latvia, straight through. No." And he says, "No, transit visa." And there he had me. I felt bad because, I was with Customs, and if this had been an official trip, I would have researched the hell out of it. I would have known I needed it. But since it was personal, I was just kind of winging it and didn't know. So the other 2 officers come in, and one of them picks up the skis, and the other one picks up my bags, and very politely they escort me off the train. And as it chugged away in the distance, we walked across the several sets of parallel tracks to a train station. Except it wasn't a station anymore. Now it was a makeshift customs place. All the furniture had been taken out except for some folding chairs in there, because under the Soviet Union there had been no border crossing stations because there was no borders. Now they were established. So it was kind of a bare bones place. We go in there, and now, having been on the other side, I know that some people would have been angry. I can't be angry. These guys are polite, and it's not their fault. It's my fault. And I can't be angry at myself because I've always had the philosophy that there's no point in blaming yourself when other people are willing to do it for you. So, and at the same time, I know some people would have been scared to be detained / arrested. But I'm Customs, they're Customs. We're like brothers from a different mother. I am not worried about these people. And then I noticed in the office there are about 4 other guys who are also in uniform, And then from one side comes a young woman who's in uniform. She's tall, blonde hair piled up on top of her head, broad shoulders, like a Viking queen in another life or something. And she comes to do the paperwork, because in former Soviet Union, there's always a woman who does the paperwork. And so she starts filling out the form, and I'm standing there, and about halfway down the form, the door opens, and a fellow comes in, dark hair, mustache, and another also in uniform, and he walks over to me and he explains that he's the only one in the station who speaks English. His English was really pretty good. And he said, this is what's going to happen. You don't have a visa, so we're going to put you on the next train going south, back to Lithuania. You get off at the first station, get your visa, and then you catch the next train coming north, and you're on your way. And then he gets out the timetable. Well, this is late afternoon, and the next train coming south is in about 4 hours. And while that train is going south, the last train of the day going north is going to pass it. So I get to stay in that other station, whatever it is, until morning and then catch the first train in the morning. And I'm beginning to get a little upset because I have told my lady up in Estonia when I would be there. She doesn't have a phone, can't call her, and I'm worried that she will be worried. But other than that, there's not much else I can do. And then he looks and he says, there is another option. He says, on the highway, there's a station where you can get a visa. He says, you could go down there and you'd be... He says, except it's too far to walk, and we're a small town. We have no taxis. So, well, thank you for the information. And he looks around and he says, that officer has a car. Maybe if I ask him, he can take you down and have you can get your visa. And I said, well, that's fine. You can ask him. And when he walks over there, a little red flag goes up in my head, because one of the courses I teach these people is integrity. And I know what's going to come back next. So I'm waiting. I'm not going to help him. He's going to have to tell me. So he comes back over and says, he would like to take you down, but he doesn't have much gas. And I'm not going to help him. So I wait. And he says, if you would buy him some gas. And I said, well, how much? And he says, $3. All right, okay, we can do $3. So the three of us go out. We pile in the car. The driver goes down, and we by now it's getting dark. And by the time we get down to the border, it is completely dark. And this is very rural. There's nothing around, but there are 5 large house-type structures, wooden houses, on the other side of the street. We pull over to one side. One of them has lights on. And we get out. The driver stays with the car. And so the interpreter and I start walking. And I say, what's this one with the lights? Since I see we're not turning in there. And he says, oh, that's duty-free shopping. Okay. And we go down to the last house. And when we stepped inside the foyer, there must have been some kind of little night light on or something, because I could see in the side room a desk and the silhouette of someone sitting behind it. And as we walk in the room, the guy behind the desk hits a switch, and there's a pool of light now on the desk. He turns on the little desk lamp. We walk over, and my interpreter tells him why we're there, and he opens the drawer and he takes out the log book and the stamps and so forth and so on, and he starts going to work. I give him my passport, and while he's doing this, he mutters something, and I turn to the interpreter, and he says, he's telling us that he's required to be at this desk all night. He can't go anywhere. And he says he gets very thirsty sitting out here. And so I felt my pocket, and on the flight over, coming over, when the drinks cart came around, I asked for Bloody Mary mix. I like the spicy tomato juice, and that's what I always ask for. And this time when they gave me the little can of juice, they gave me a little miniature of vodka to go with it. And I don't drink vodka, so I just put it in my pocket, and it's still there. This man is thirsty. I pull out my little Smirnoffs, right in front of him. Hey, he's happy, wonderful, give him back the passport. We go out. Now we're walking back to the car, and my friend here, who's now become very friendly, explains that he lives 2 kilometers from the station. He has to walk both ways in all weather because he doesn't have a car. He's got a wife and 2 children. They don't pay very much, I know that. And he says, some days I can't even afford cigarettes. Well, there's the duty free. Come on, I'll take care of you. I've done taking care of the other people. So we go in there. He gets some Russian brand or something. It's $1 for the pack. So I pay $1. We get back. We get in the car. Now, $4 is not bad for a shakedown, you know. And we get back to the station. In about 4 hours or so, the train comes. I go on, have the reunion with my lady love and all that. And when I did this story at rehearsal, someone asked me. They said, "What was the attraction, you know, between you and this foreign woman over there that got it together?" And so I thought I would. She was, and I guess still is, simply the most beautiful woman I had ever met, really. And when she smiles, it lights up the corners of my soul, the dark corners. And that's not the main reason I fell in love with her. It's just the easiest one to describe. And for a beautiful woman, she had a lot of suitors. She had several marriage proposals, some from wealthy businessmen from Germany and Sweden and places like that. And they gave her some wonderful presents and gifts. But I'm the only one who bought a pair of cross-country skis, carried them 5,000 miles as a gift to her son. You see, and that may not be the reason she chose me, but it's the easiest one to explain.